Weather Extra. We have declared a first alert weather day for your Thursday morning as a frost potential is there. We're on your side with how you can protect your plants and pets.
And it's Severe Weather Awareness Day in Alabama. We tell you how you can be prepared and not scared when storms strike.
And though the tropics have been quieter in the wake of Milton, hurricane season lasts through November 30th. We update you on any new areas where trouble could be brewing.
Live on your side. First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
And we're so glad you're with us for Weather Extra. Meteorologist Lauren Linehan, Tania Michelle back with us here as we talk about some cold weather. Is it cold enough for you yet?
Sure is. I broke out the sweater today. So.
Listen, I should have did what you did because I stepped outside and I said, yeah, I'm going back in.
Yeah.
It's chilly.
Yeah, I heard you when you walked in. You said, hey, it's cold out here.
It is.
Yeah.
And the breeze really added to it as well. But, you know, we did have some frost out there. We had some 30-degree temperatures. I want to show you guys this. Check in with our weather watchers right now. And we did have some morning lows around 35 in Lamar County, 35 at Piedmont. Rick Freeman, Tony McDonald, Zach Kelly there in Hackleburg reported in around 37. But just a few select reports. All of our weather watchers were talking about cranking up the heat earlier today, as we all will tonight with this colder weather across the area. Again, it's a first alert weather day, a brief first alert weather day, but it's for tomorrow morning, 1 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And we often see these frost advisories, freeze warnings early in the fall or towards the end of the growing season. And then, of course, as the growing season comes to an end, we'll no longer see those. But that's why we have these frost advisories popping up across the area. But the bottom line on this, just make sure if you didn't do so last night, certainly tonight, make sure you have warm weather plants. They are protected. And also remember our furry friends out there on this cold night. Jacksonville State University, right now we're showing 58 degrees. This is one of those areas, East Alabama, could see those temperatures not far from the freezing point early tomorrow morning, showing 60 right now in Tuscaloosa. A live look from the amphitheater. And by the way, if you're heading to the Dwight Yoakam concert, we had that forecast Friday night. It's going to be a perfect evening, but you will also want to bundle up if you have plans. Temperatures will be dropping into the 50s there Friday night. But tomorrow morning, temperatures in the low 30s out the door, and that freezing line looks like it could reach us around places like perhaps Coleman and Vinemont, and then into Jefferson County. We're showing 37 around Birmingham, but outlying areas, some frost possible. Same for us here in West Alabama. Tuscaloosa shows 38, but you get out around places like Coker and over towards Gordo, we could see readings not far from freezing there early in the day tomorrow. So frost possible early in the day, and also tonight we're going to have a bright supermoon rising at 5. Well, it's already in the air, so that moonrise tonight, it'll be a moonlit night across the state of Alabama with those colder temperatures. But hey, check out this stunning video out of North Carolina, and this is snow that fell earlier today. This is from Twitter user Tim Davis out of Yancey County, and this was on one of the mountains there in North Carolina, but the snowfall was all across the higher terrain there in East Tennessee earlier today. And I know we were talking about the persimmon seed and the spoon, but you know, maybe there's something to that, right? But now we head over to our good friend in the Knoxville area, good friend of mine, meteorologist Spencer Denton. I had a chance to speak with Spencer today. He's with our sister station Channel 8 WVLT. It's the third Saturday in October, so we got the Tennessee-Alabama weekend coming up, but they're also coping, of course, with the aftermath from Helene, and of course talking more about that snowy weather that happened today. So good to have you here on Weather Extra this evening. You guys have been really busy here lately.
Oh my goodness! Between Helene and between snow, we've had a little bit of everything. And usually this is a quiet season for most of us here in the Deep South, but it has not been the case here in Knoxville and across East Tennessee.
Yeah, we were just talking about how we haven't seen a drop of rain in 18 days around here, and you guys have been seeing tropical systems and now snow. Let's start off, talk about that's the latest development. We've actually had the first snow of the season in parts of the Smokies.
Yeah, that's right. First fall snowfall. We're talking about 4 inches that fell at Mount LeConte. That's
Wow.
just on the East Tennessee border there as you go into North Carolina. And, you know, some of the highest elevations above 3,500 feet saw at least half an inch to an inch. And then the highest points at about 6,000 feet saw upwards of 4 inches of snow. So that was areas like Newfound Gap and all the way back to Cherokee, North Carolina. So these are all, for a lot of the folks that go up to, say, Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, this is all east, just east and southeast of that area. So a lot of folks probably up there right now trying to look for the snow on the peaks of some of those mountains. But yeah, first snowfall, it typically happens a couple weeks from now, maybe 2 to 3 weeks on average, we'll see a little bit of snow. So this is a little bit early for this, but certainly seeing something that, you know, is a sign that winter is just around the corner.
Yeah, I'm beginning to believe those spoons that we were seeing in all the persimmon seeds, right?
So, yes, they may have been onto something.
Yeah, maybe so. And you know, we could certainly feel that chill that's in the air with all that cold, icy weather there just to our north. Well, tell us a little bit about, you know, how are things happening with Helene? Now, I know in the Knoxville area, a lot of those impacts were more towards the east of you. Just tell us a little bit about the regional impacts and your experience through Helene.
Well, you know, it's crazy because I was in Memphis prior to this for 10 years, and this happened within the first month of me coming here, and actually spent most of my, I guess it was second or third week, covering this big storm that was producing major river flooding. We're talking about big time. Really in the mountains, we had a lot of mudslides and a lot of landslides. And, you know, this was basically about, I'd say, 30 minutes to an hour east of Knoxville. You get into these areas like Newport and areas of Greene County and all the way down into even almost into Sevier County where Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge are. We started seeing these rivers rising, and we kind of knew that this was going to happen because we just had this massive surge of moisture ahead of that tropical system. So before Helene, well before Helene got here, there was just a river of moisture that came up on the eastern slopes of the Appalachians, and that set the stage for what became a just massive amount of rain, some 20 to 30 inches that fell in these areas in a very short period of time. And that's what caused, you know, all the big problems and all the flooding.
And those recovery efforts continue across the Southeast. A loan program for small businesses needs more money to support those impacted by recent hurricanes. The Small Business Administration says it has run out of money to provide disaster assistance to businesses and homeowners following hurricanes Helene and Milton. Many people applying for aid are facing delays until the administration receives more funding from Congress. The administration says about 37,000 people applied for relief after Helene, and it received another 12,000 applications after Milton. Other shortages are also happening across the country due to the effects of both Hurricane Helene and Milton. The Biden administration putting the Defense Production Act into effect because the nation's IV fluid supply is critically low. Its biggest producer is in North Carolina, which is still cleaning up from Hurricane Helene. And in Florida, officials saying they're working with ports to restore the fuel supply. FEMA says it has enough money for now, but the agency says false rumors are making it harder to get relief funds to hurricane survivors. And meteorologist Matt Daniel joins us now with the latest outlook from Colorado State University on what we can expect for the rest of hurricane season.
Well, we're halfway through the month, and we've got another month and a half left until the hurricane season's officially over. So what could happen over the next 2 weeks? Well, Colorado State has put out their outlook for the next 2 weeks, pretty much finishing out the month of October, and they're predicting a 50% chance we could see above average activity in the Atlantic. About a 40% chance that it'll be near average and just a 10% chance below average. So what does that even really mean when it comes to above average activity? Well, here's a look at the activity during the hurricane season, and as you can see, we're halfway there through the month of October, and you can see the trend. It's starting to go down, so we're going to see less activity as we get into November, and then of course by December 1st the season officially ends. Now we can still see some random systems develop afterwards, but it's usually rare and very unlikely they'll impact the United States. So in the month of October, where do we usually watch for tropical development? Well, first of all, around this time of the year, we've got these cold fronts moving through, and that really helps steer systems away from the United States. So it usually becomes more of a concern, unfortunately, for Florida, but usually we'll watch the Caribbean. Usually see systems develop and they'll track up to the north and then get picked up by a cold front. We also have to watch out in the central Atlantic and the western Atlantic as well. Stuff will try to form off the coast, maybe the stalled cold front perhaps, a low forms and then lifts up into the northern Atlantic. So those are the main spots we usually watch for tropical development in the month of October. And by November, the chances for tropical development even lower. So we got yellow instead of likely or more likely. So sometimes you can get a random low form in the central Atlantic, and sometimes you can see some systems form once again in the western Caribbean and towards the Bahamas, but that's usually steered farther away from a cold front that gets picked up and lifts to the north and east. So usually by this point, our issues here of seeing tropical activity much lower. So we'll be watching this over the next several weeks. We'll keep you updated on the tropics, of course, here and through the WBRC First Alert weather app.
And coming up, October may be our driest month of the year. But the fall severe weather season is just around the corner. We tell you how to prepare when we come back in 30 seconds.
And welcome back into Weather Extra, checking in on those kickoff forecasts. Several away games coming up this weekend, so already kind of planning ahead for the trip. Well, if you are traveling to Mizzou, Auburn fans, 62 degrees at kickoff time. Alabama fans at Tennessee, and Knoxville, 66 degrees and a mostly sunny sky. We had Spencer on earlier, and Spencer talked about the weather. Is expecting fantastic weather there in Knoxville for Saturday. Dry weather conditions. Saturday, UAB at South Florida. That's at Tampa, 83 degrees at kickoff time. And then Friday night, of course, we're in great shape for all the high school games. Just some chilly weather, but hey, feeling like football weather. But if you are traveling, make sure you download for free the First Alert weather app. It goes where you go, so you can get those local alerts if anything does pop up. Lauren?
Thanks, Wes. Well, we were just checking in with meteorologist Matt Daniel about an update on hurricane season. We'll give you the latest on two areas we're watching. He mentioned this time of the year you can see development in the Northwest Caribbean. So that's one of the areas we're going to be keeping an eye on. I will say, though, as we're looking at the long range models, it looks like if anything's trying to develop a disturbance in the Caribbean, that it's going to have a tough time getting its act together. The environmental conditions just aren't super conducive for organization and development. So if we do see something come out of this disorganized area of low pressure that consists of showers and storms, there is a low chance over the next 7 days. But we'll watch it to see if it could get further into the Caribbean. And then we also have another area we're watching. This is a spot that we've been watching out in the Atlantic for quite some time and kind of keep going back and forth on whether we could see anything manifest. We do want to watch it over the next week, though. It has a medium chance of development as it drifts westward through the Atlantic. Right now, actually has a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity associated with it, but it could move westward towards the Lesser Antilles later this week, potentially moving towards Puerto Rico, Hispaniola. Of course, if it gets near Puerto Rico, we'll be sure to give you that first alert if you have any friends or family out that way. But right now, not seeing any immediate threats for the U.S. Gulf Coast, which is always good news. Well, Falso is also the time of the year in Alabama where we can see a secondary severe weather season. And today marks the fall edition of Severe Weather Awareness Day, courtesy of our friends at the National Weather Service here in Birmingham. Even though these upcoming months are considered our cooler months, it's still possible for us to see tornadoes. As we can see on the graph, most of the tornadoes in Alabama form from November to May. And even though we're expecting beautiful conditions and cooler weather through the week, it's always a good time to have that severe weather preparedness plan available whenever storms pop up. It's also a great time to know any time of the year where you live on a map. Check out this photo that shows the map here where the key roads and cities are in central Alabama and the key counties as well. We are here on the First Alert Weather Team to always stress the importance of being able to pinpoint where you live on a map, because when warnings are issued, they are issued by counties. So pop quiz, what county do you live in? Tania, we live in Birmingham, so we live in Jefferson County. Yeah, look at us. A+ for Lauren and Tania. Well, some final tips for Severe Weather Awareness Day. Make sure you have a safety kit on hand. It should have things like flashlights, medicine, and other useful items. Have multiple ways to receive alerts, of course, through the First Alert Weather app. Always going to plug that, but also that NOAA weather radio. And it's best to have multiple items on standby. You should also know your safe place in your home in the event of severe weather. Remember, the room in the innermost part of your house away from windows is the best place to be. If you have a basement or a storm shelter, hey, you're really good to go. And remember, if you have something like storm anxiety, something we're not a stranger to here in central Alabama, be prepared, not scared, because the more you are able to prepare, the more you have in control. Well, check this out. Stingrays were actually brought back to the Florida Aquarium after riding out Hurricane Milton at Tropicana Field. 7 cow-nosed stingrays called a touch tank home during the MLB season. The marine animals resided above right center field while the Tampa Bay Rays played their home games. Despite the damage to the stadium, the stingrays were safe. The Rays will now relax during the team's off season. And hey, be sure to tune in for First Alert Weather Extra tomorrow. I actually talk with an animal rescue organization about the efforts they have been going through in the wake of Helene and Milton to help those local animal communities in the path of the storms. Well, still ahead, the Northern Lights may have put on a show last week, but a new cosmic superstar is on the horizon. We'll tell you how to view this elusive celestial beauty right after the break.
All right, welcome back to Weather Extra. It is going to be frosty out there tomorrow morning, so may need to get that little ice scraper out. You might need it on the windshield early in the day. 58 degrees right now in the Magic City over Birmingham. Bundle up. We have got a light north wind, and that's adding to the chill. But that sky, you can see it is crystal clear out there this evening, and it's going to stay clear. There's actually a bright moon. I mentioned earlier it's the October Hunter's Moon, as it's called. It's a super moon, so it's a little bit brighter as it's at perigee, but low temperatures tomorrow morning out the door. We have low 30s, around 32 at Coleman, Rockford around 37. Just show you some areas to the south, and especially outlying areas. There will be some frost in some of those valleys there early in the day tomorrow. So everyone needs to play it safe and protect those plants overnight tonight. But after that cold start, notice by 11 o'clock we're up to 58. It was a cold day today, kind of chilly out there. Tomorrow that chill will be in the air, but a little bit of an improvement later on with the sunshine. Should help us out. Not as windy. That breeze at about 4 to 8 miles per hour out of the northeast direction. But this weekend coming up, we stay dry. The mornings still chilly, but the afternoons are going to feel perfect out there. Saturday and Sunday, a lot of events going on. One of those, the Kentuck Arts Festival happening out at Snow Hinton Park in Tuscaloosa. If you're heading out Saturday, 75. On Sunday, a high temperature of 78 degrees, and we'll see those low 80s coming back during the afternoon hours next week. Notice the dry weekend, we go to Monday, 79, Tuesday around 79 degrees, Wednesday, 81, and then we'll see some low to mid 80s. Now, after Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, towards the end of next week, after that point, it looks like we may have another cold front that will drop those temperatures. So that might do it as far as those 80s if we do see some mid 80s. But at this point, it looks very dry, and we are not seeing a drop of rain in that long-range forecast, but Tania will update us here in a second. I do want to show you, though, with it being a mostly clear sky tonight, we've had incredible sky watching conditions out there, and I've received so many photos of Victoria Wellington sharing photos of the comet Atlas, Comet A3. If you've seen this off on the western horizon, Mandy Campbell sharing photos. We've had a lot of these from the weather app. Kathy Bishop there in Moody, a great catch. You often have a better chance of seeing this if you look through the camera on your phone. Rex and Cedar Creek sharing this photo with us. But look to the west horizon, and it's typically 30 minutes after sunset. So right here at dusk, it takes a little while. I'll be honest with you, after Weather Extra, we went out and it's right around 7 o'clock or a little after that. You can really start to see it to the west, but with time it does eventually drop over the horizon, so you can't see it later on tonight. But this comet's moving away from Earth, so over the next several nights and into next week it will gradually fade. But just look to the west direction, and the bright star that you'll see to the west, that is a planet Venus. So just look right the planet Venus, and you'll have a better chance of seeing the comet A3. If you capture a good photo, though, share it with us on the First Alert Weather app. Well, dry weather ahead. Let's check in with Tania for Beyond the 7-Day.
Yeah, thanks, Wes. Listen, I know many of you have been like, hey, we haven't had any rain. We've had the cold. We've had hurricanes around us, but no wet weather here. And I hate to say it, we're looking dry as we get closer to the end of October. As we look across the nation, across the U.S., we've got many states dealing with below average precipitation. Some of our northern states and the west coastern states like Portland, Oregon area down to San Francisco, California could see above normal, above average, I guess I should say, as far as precipitation and rainfall. But stretching across the southeast and really most of our eastern states, including us here across central Alabama, we're looking pretty dry as we approach October 22nd through October 26th. But if you hate the cold, then you really might like this. We've got cold conditions tomorrow, first low weather day in effect. But as you notice, when we look here, October 22nd through October 26th, majority of the U.S. dealing with above average temperatures, minus, okay, Pacific Northwest, we get it, but majority of us dealing with the heat. Maybe not super hot, but we'll definitely see above average temperatures, likely for us trending more in the upper 70s, low 80s as we approach closer to the end of this month. Well, we'll be right back with a final check of your weather right here. You're watching First Alert Weather Extra.
No.
You'll see it right at 7.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
usually go out there, go around that.
Okay. That's
Yeah. Nine o'clock open teas? What does that mean? Okay. Gotcha.
How much time we have?
I can do that. Oh, I have no clue.
How much time, Kim?
Hey, let me call you back. I was trying to see if my phone was working because I was in.